But I've got a word for you. You know those people who have like a verse for the year or a word of the year that they like hang to? That's me. I'm one of those people. I'm not one of the crazy types of people I like to claim, but I also got that word tattooed on me the other day, so maybe I am one of those crazy kinds of people. But I've only done it for 1 year, and I'm on year 2. So 2018 was my first year, like, I'm gonna pick a verse, I'm gonna stick to it, I'm gonna see what the Lord does, and we're gonna go with it. So at the end of 2017, start at the beginning, the end of 2017, 1 Peter 3:4 kept popping up in my head, and it like kept popping up in scriptures, and then I would like go to church, and it would be like, the message would be on this verse, and I'm like, okay, Lord, what are you doing? And my best friend, who's like severely one of those crazy people, like she's been doing this for 7 years, and she's like, you know what you should do? You should like focus on that for a week. She shouldn't talk like that. She's gonna be really mad if I ever tell her that she sounds like that. She's like, you should focus on that. You should like think about it for a year. And I was like, okay. Because I do pretty much anything she says, because she's much, much wiser than I. So I'm looking at this verse and I'm like, okay, cool. If you pull up 1 Peter 3, it's about wives. I am not a wife. I have no reason to be reading this part of scripture. Why am I doing this? So at first I was like, not relevant, pretty resistant to that idea. Was that naive? Absolutely. So 1 Peter 3:4 reads, rather, it should be of your inner self, of unfading beauty, of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in the sight of God. In the King James Version, that was probably NIV, sorry for the lack of inspiration, but it's described as a meek and quiet spirit. So I'm gonna focus on the word meek, which in the Greek is pronounced parous. And I was reading in one of my devotionals, and it was describing, like it was like really diving into this, and it was describing it as an attitude of one who is friendly, warm, forbearing, patient, kind, and gentle. Hi, I'm Erin, I'm not any of those things. Like never in my life has someone been like, oh my gosh, Erin, you're so warm. No, you're not. You're not. You're really actually cold and sad. Anyways, patient. Anytime anyone asks me, what's the Lord teaching you? Patience. I don't know how to do that. I'm impatient to the max. Forbearing, that's practicing restraint. Hard pass. Don't do that, ever. It's like, we are pedal to the metal, let's just do it. So as I kept reading this definition over and over, I came to realize that people who are meek just bear the fruits of the Spirit. Duh. So if you turn to Galatians 5 at the end, it lists those out first as joy, love, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Again, not really sure I have all of those under lock. It's fine. But walking in the Spirit gives me access to those things. It's just like they're handed to me. They're part of who I am. So meek people are just individuals who have become skilled at controlling themselves and their temperament. Meekness is power under control. Boom, boom. Am I right? Yeah. That's what meekness is. So initially, when I read this verse and like everyone was like, focus on this, I was like, husband 2018, let's do this. Didn't happen. No wedding for me. It's fine. I'm fine. But my relationship with the Lord got so deep, and it was so incredible to like spend time with him and be like, what do you want me to know about something that I don't feel related to? Like, I don't know what it's like to be a wife. It's not something that's in my everyday life. But what about being meek, and what about having this temperament and this kindness and like knowing when to say something and when not to say something and how to control myself? What does that look like? So in response to that, my temperament changed. Like who I am in my core has shifted. I'm less aggressive, maybe not entirely forbearing, however, less than I was. And all of this was happening in seasons of change where I'm like, pedal to the metal, let's do this, things are switching, I'm moving, I've got a new job. Like, those are times when I would normally be like, I've got control of all of this, and I'm gonna move all these pieces, I'm gonna spin all these plates, and it's gonna be great. But instead I was like, Lord, how do you want me to adjust? How do you want me to shift? Where do you want me to move? What do you want me to step to? Like, what does it look like for you to control this aspect of my life? So when I allowed God and I relied on him to move in the big things in my life, like moving and getting a new job, those aren't minor things, but it made the minor things easy to hand off to him. And so I kept asking him for wisdom and discernment. I stepped into the throne room boldly when I felt like I needed to talk to him. And I was like, Lord, hey, I need you like right now. I didn't go, I think I kind of screwed this up and I would like your help. It was like, no, Lord, I definitely screwed this up. Help me. So when 2018 started, the Lord was placing these things in my heart. And I know that they were spirit-led and I know that they were from the Lord because my flesh was like, hard pass. Because the Lord kept calling me to speak, like in front of people. This whole thing that's happening right now, not a fan of this. It's not something I'm comfortable doing yet. However, I know that the Lord has called me to doing that. It's something that he said, hey, I want you to do this. But he did that at the beginning of 2018. So I was like, okay, well, let's start doing that. The first time I ever spoke in front of anyone and preached the word was like a month ago. And it had been a year because I was like, well, Lord, what do you want me to say? He just would deposit these different sermons and ideas. He's like, well, you know that story? What about your testimony? Oh, and then this thing happened with that person. And you really relate to this part of the Bible? You hardcore. You relate. You could share that. You could passionately deliver that to somebody. But I want you to wait. I want you to wait on me to tell you you are allowed to speak. And once he gave the go-ahead, it was poured out of me. It was like, Lord, this is you flowing right through me because anything good to me is from Jesus. But I had to trust his timing. I had to adjust my natural response and control my temperament to what the Lord was leading me to. So if you don't hear anything else that I say in the 5 minutes that I've been rambling to you, hear this. The more time you spend with Jesus, the more you see him moving inside of you. And the more you see him moving in you, others see him moving in you. And that's kingdom, and it's awesome.